Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. Polish billionaire Rafał Brzoska is taking on Meta again after another AI-generated fake using his image appeared on Facebook, this time reaching his own children. Now, the InPost founder says his years-long battle raises a much bigger question about whether social media giants are doing enough to stop fraud they may also profit from. And joining us now is Igor Protasowicki, cybersecurity expert at Bristol University, to answer that question. Good to have you back in the studio.
My pleasure, as always.
So give us a little bit context here. I mean, this is a longer battle that this billionaire has already been under, but I mean, what has been, in your mind, the most recent controversy in this, and why does it matter so much?
Some, let's call them cyber criminals, created AI-manipulated visual content that covered Mr. Brzoska's facial and used that in an unpleasant scene where Mr. Brzoska was supposed to be under arrest, and Brzoska claims that the person who actually showed that content to him was one of his children. And that's a major concern, in my opinion. And the deal is, between Brzoska and Meta, Rafał Brzoska already won one of the court trials against Meta, and such incidents should not happen anymore.
But also, in terms of, I mean, it raises the big question of also on deepfakes, doesn't it?
Yes.
And how much, very much, these platforms like Meta are also very much involved in all of this. So, how much control, and we often speak about this control, how much control does Meta have in basically arbitrating this? What's actually being observed by users and customers? How much leverage do they really have?
Well, I think in one of our previous conversations we discussed the matter of the content control. European law says that the platform operator is responsible for all the content that is visible on the platform, no matter who actually put that content. So we've been talking about the potential solutions to content verification on the moment of the upload. Meta is trying to put this responsibility on the users, while Facebook and Instagram and all the other social media platforms are the ones responsible for the control and removal of the content that violates European regulations. Since we see that this content is still available, people are using deepfakes to create images or movies, and those images and movies can be used as, for example, advertisements of non-existing products or non-existing services, using somebody else's credibility, like well-known person's credibility, well-regarded person in a specific nation or specific background, and that actually harms this person directly. This is what Brzoska is addressing right now. And what happened as the answer to the claims that this AI-created content should be removed was his account removal.
Yeah, I mean, do you sense that, I mean, the timing obviously is no good, it doesn't look good, but how much do you think there was deliberation behind him and also this account being frozen? It was reinstated afterwards.
Yeah, but we are thinking about the potential influence on the societies on the other hand, because social media gained a lot of trust, especially from the younger generation, and that's one of the major sources of information. That is why Rafał Brzoska and everybody else's concerns are so high and the reactions are so harsh. Meta should not only verify the contents as the fake news verification or cross-fact checking, which was also delegated to the users, because users right now are able to mark questionable information on Facebook posts, but it should be verified by the, let's say, maybe algorithmic verification in the first place.
You also mentioned verification. I mean, this is also one of these operative words. I mean, how difficult is it, and why actually, don't these advertisers have this kind of process? I mean, we're looking at, if we compare it to banks, maybe, I mean, there's already a kind of know your customer procedure. So why doesn't this apply yet for social media companies? Do you see that coming?
Because it takes time, lots of time to process this amount of information. We're talking about petabytes of data uploaded to Facebook daily. So if we compare different platforms, there is one platform dedicated to video sharing, for example, where people can share material longer than let's say 1.5 minutes. And many of the content creators claim that this verification is automated too much and it suspends the material or demonetizes the material that contains no bad or no regulation violating content. On the other hand, when we try to verify every single thing among this 1 or even more petabytes of data daily, that takes resources. So before this proper content is verified, it may be served to potentially hundreds of thousands of people, including the people visible on the content itself. So that is why it raises concerns. If we address these issues to Meta-like organizations that hold and operate with billions of users' accounts, before the update reaches to every single user account on such a widespread system, because Meta servers are spread all over the world, before the update is updated actually on every single one of the servers, we might be exposed, and those materials will be exposed to potential viewers.
You mentioned, Igor, interesting word, resources. Let's also talk about that in terms of financial resources. And I think there's an uncomfortable question here, at least for Meta very much, is they're profiting quite a bit from this, aren't they?
Yes, because there is one major rule on the internet. If something's free, you are the currency. So we pay with our time, we pay with our shopping spree, for example, because when we browse reels on social media, one in between the others, we see advertisements, and multiple people are just clicking on the advertisements, willingly buying the product. But on the other hand, that's another threat to us, because this manipulated content that we've been talking about at the beginning of this conversation might appear as the advertisement, and that's one of the major causes of fraud these days, actually.
Yeah, and one of those numbers I just want to share with you and our viewers. So this is according to Reuters, apparently, and what they have access to. Meta project around 10% of its 2024 revenue, or that's around 16 billion, could come from these kind of links of advertising to this sort of manipulation, deepfake. So, I mean, the question is, they will never really be incentivized to change that. So I guess what will alter their course in all this?
Significant fines. Because if we reduce the yearly revenue of the organization by the amount that you just indicated, that will be unprofitable for the organization. So if Meta would face charges of that size, that would change the CEO's mind, because all we have to remember is that's organization that is responsible for bringing profits to the shareholders. And if shareholders do not receive the profits, they're not happy. If shareholders are not happy, CEO's not happy, and they change decisions.
Yeah. Also not happy will be the tech executives, and that in turn, I guess also next challenge. I mean, you mentioned European regulations, and the EU has done a lot in terms of holding a lot of tech to account, to the chagrin of and annoyance very much of President Donald Trump directly, the Americans.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering, this is not an easy question maybe to answer, but there's constant regulation by the European Union, but it's the enforcement then. So how much enforcement really leverage does Europe have if they want to go after someone like Meta?
Well, first of all, they have to conduct the prosecution of the potential charges. After the prosecution, we have quite a significant fines that are calculated upon the percentage of the global revenue of the organization. It depends on what kind of violations we're talking about. The most the worst violations to the societies and the worst fines that can be put upon the content sharing platforms is derived from the GDPR for Personal Data Violation Act. So if we have a significant data leak, it can be up to 15% of the global revenue fine.
Mm-hmm. And also, speaking of fines, just something we've kind of touched on in the past before, very major legal case happening right now in California. I believe it just started. It's supposed to take maybe 6,
yes,
maybe 7 weeks, and really holding account also Meta in terms of its design, manipulating young people, children. So let's talk about that for a minute. What do you think is at stake here? How successful will this case be? It's, I think, brought on by 4 states, but cumulatively, I think it's over 20 states in the U.S. It's a pretty landmark case.
Yeah, we already know that social media shapes our behavior. It's designed to consume as much of our time as possible, because if we compare the smartphone use year to year or maybe decade to decade, we'll see that at the very beginning of the smartphone area, we use those devices up to 2 hours a day, and that's it. We use it for phones, we use it for games, but not in such a widespread like today. And there was no term like doom scrolling by that time, and particular platforms that appeared after that time created that behavior schematic of consuming our time just to convince us to stay longer and longer with the platform, to bring the profit, of course, to the platform's owners. And that creates the behavior schematics in the youth. We already know that the shaping of our purchase habits begins at the age of 6, and everything that happens afterwards, like creating our bond to specific brands and so on, brings profits for the next decades. If we create specific patterns in the behavior, it's going to be very hard to change it in the future. And now, when we see those generations entering the labor market, when they become employees, it's kind of problematic for their employers.
Okay, so we're still waiting some kind of decision and verdict by that case. But just really quickly, I've got maybe about a minute left or so. With this Brzoska case, I mean, it's not the first time he has this ongoing legal dispute. Is it shaping up as a kind of precedent? Do you think this will be used by other, maybe celebrities or others in the future?
Well, it reminds me of what happened with Elon Musk and Twitter, and how it ended up with Twitter changing to X and Elon Musk becoming the owner of the facility. I don't think that Brzoska is rich enough to be an owner of entire Meta, but that is a pattern that I can see in that case.
All right, so more patterns we're going to analyze another time. Igor Protasowicki from Bristol University, our cybersecurity expert. Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
And thank you for watching World Talks, but do stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.